Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Honorable our lecturer, Mahmud Mainah MPD, and all my beloved friends. How are you guys? I hope all of you doing well. So, we are from Group 1. We would like to explain to you about Chapter 6 with the title Input, Interaction, and Second Language Acquisition. But before that, we would like to introduce ourselves. My name is Maharan Abdi Maros, and my partners are Mariska Rimadona, Widya Karamina, Ayu Mahesti, Widya Rahma Hapsari, and Mega Linia. So, the first speaker is Maharan Abdi Maros. Let's check it out. Yeah, as always, in every chapter there is introduction. Consists of definition of input. So next is what is input. Input is used to refer to the language that is addressed to the L2 learner either by a native speaker or by another L2 learner. Firstly, that you must to know is interaction. Interaction is the conversation constructed by the learner and his partners. Nah, jadi input itu adalah is the result of interaction. Bisa dilihat dengan gambar. Kemudian selanjutnya juga bisa dilihat mereka sedang berbicara, conversation. L2 learner dia berbicara with language, with, and then the partners itu native speaker. Bisa learner yang lain, L2 yang lain kayak gitu. Paham ya? Yeah, next is 3 views on input in language acquisition. Apa itu? Ada 3, behaviorist, nativist, interaction. Apa yang dimaksud dengan behaviorist? Maksudnya, the behaviorist view emphasizes the importance of the linguistic environment, which is it is treated in terms of stimuli and feedback. Nah, the environment is the crucial determining factor, and then the learners learn language in the form of stimuli and feedback. Like I said, stimuli and feedback occur in the environment. And then contohnya, look at French models, ya kemudian mengimitate-nya, kemudian selanjutnya mempraktiskannya, and voila, produce. If it is suitable stimuli is important, akan menghasilkan good models. Okay, feedback. What is feedback? Feedback is used to reinforce or correct students to change their behaviors, guys. Then nativist. The nativist view minimizes the role of the input and explains language development primarily in terms of the learner's internal processing mechanisms. Apa maksudnya? Nativist ini view emphasizes learner with internal factors. Then this is learners mental abilities, guys, with the intelligent. Kalau berkaitan dengan intelijensi, pasti ada learning styles. Pertama yang kita ketahui adalah visual, and then kinesthetic, and the last is auditory. Ya. And next is interaction. The interactionist views his language development as the result both of input factors and learners' innate mechanisms. Maksudnya apa sih? Ini gabungan antara learner's ability and environment-nya. Begitu. Oke, kita perjelas dengan next slide. Nah, bisa lihat itu behaviorist yang kiri, yang kanan nativist. Nah, gabungan antara keduanya disebut interactionist. Behaviorist itu dari luar, nativist itu dari dalam, kemudian interaction itu gabungannya, luar dan dari dalam. Begitu. Ya, next topic ya. Madris and L1 acquisition. ada beberapa poin yang saya catat dari buku Alice on page 129 and 130. You can open your book. Yeah, the nature of mother's linguistic properties of mother's speech. Poin pertama, well-formed. It is containing view and grammatical utterances or sentences or sentence fragments. Poin kedua, formal adjustments. Itu lower mean length of utterance, and then use of simple sentences, and then use of tutorial questions. Yang poin ketiga, adjustments in pronunciation, seperti pitch, intonation, and rhythm. Mandarin itu kayak a simple style of language of the type that parents use when speaking to their child. Kayak bahasa yang mudah biar si dedek bayi ngerti. Kayak gitu teman-teman. Lebih jelasnya akan dijelaskan next speaker. Dadah.
Halo, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Mariska Rimadona as the second presenter, and I will continue the next material. So in this part, we will discuss about input and interactions in natural settings foreigner talk studies. Studies of foreigner talk were stimulated by Ferguson in 1971 account of simplified register. This pinpoint the linguistic similarities among moderate foreigner talk and also fossilized forms of interlanguage. As in the case of moderates, research and discussions have centered on describing and explaining foreigner talk and more recently speculating what role it plays in second language acquisition. Next, the descriptions of foreigner talk. In order to describe foreigner talk, it is necessary to collect and analyze samples of speech addressed by native speakers to non-native speakers. As with any other register, foreigner talk is likely to be influenced by a whole host of variables such as the topic of conversations, the age of the participants, that is, whether they are children, adolescents, or adults, and in particular, the proficiency of the learners. Therefore, foreigner talk is not to be thought of as a static, fixed set of features, but as dynamic, changing in accordance with various situational factors. Foreigner talk has both formal and functional characteristics, long as in 1981 labels that input and interactional features respectively. The input features are of two types. The first one is those that involve simplifications within the grammatical rule structure of the language, and the second one is those that involve simplifications leading to ungrammatical speech. And interactional features consist of the specific discourse functions performed by native speakers. Okay, so with reference to the distinctions between input and interaction features and between grammatical and ungrammatical simplifications, three types of foreigner talk can be identified. First, foreigner talk consisting only of interactional adjustment. It is, there are no formal simplifications. Second, foreigner talk consists of interactional and grammatical input adjustments, that is, there are no ungrammatical simplifications. And the last, foreigner talk consisting of interactional adjustments as well as both grammatical and ungrammatical input adjustments. Which type of foreigner talk occurs is the result of various factors concerned with the proficiency of the learner and the role relationship between the participants. In general, appears to be more common than which in turn is more common than. Next, based on Hatch in 1983 statement suggests that foreigner talk has the same basic functions as Madras. The first one is it promotes communications. The second one is to establish as a special kind of effective bond between the native speaker and the non-native speakers. And the last one, it serves as an implied teaching mode. So, however, Naro in 1983 argues that foreigner talk can occur with an explicit teaching functions, that is, be used specifically to help the learner to learn. And the explanations of how native speakers are able to adjust their speech include regressions, matching, and negotiations. So, regressions. The native speaker unconsciously moves back through the stage of development that characterize his own acquisitions of the language until he reaches an appropriate level for the person he is addressing. In much the same way as Carter in 1981 suggests, the second language learner regress in the early stage of development. Regressions is very unlikely and is not borne out by the observed feature of foreign talk. Matching. That is, the native speaker assesses the learner's language system and then imitates the language form he identifies in it. Matching is the explanations offered by Bloomfield in 1933, but as Hatch argues, it is asking a lot of the native speaker to measure simultaneously the learner's phonology, lexicon, syntax, and source with sufficient accuracy to adjust his own language output. Last is negotiations. That is, the native speaker simplifies and clarifies in accordance with the feedback that he obtained from the learner. Negotiation provides an interactional rather than a psycholinguistic explanation. It does not tell us what mental process the native speaker operates in order to make adjustments to his speech. Well, thank you for listening my presentations.
My name is Widya Karamina. Okay, I will continue the next explanation about discourse studies and input or interaction in classroom settings. Discourse studies, L2 data are made available to the learner in the input he receives. However, this input is not determined solely by the native speaker. It is also determined by the learner himself. The feedback he provides affect the nature of the subsequent input from the native speaker. Also, Zarwood Smith 1981 notes the learner's output serves as input to his own language processing mechanism. It makes little sense, therefore, to consider the contribution of the native speaker independently of that of the learner. Because one affects the other, it is more fitting to consider the joint work done by native speaker and learner by looking at the discourse they construct together. The method for the undertaking this is known as discourse analysis. The types of discourse that learners take part in depend very much on who the learner is. Conversation involving child learners. Head sounds that in child learner discourse, conversation typically commences with attempts by the child to open the channel by calling for the adult attention. For example, oh, look it. The adult then responds by identifying the object that appears to have attracted the child's attention, and the child repeats the name of the object. The sequence may end there, and a similar nominating sequence be embarked upon. Alternatively, the conversation might move into the development stage, stimulated by the adult demanding some comment on the nominated topic from the child. This may result in an attempt at elaboration by the child. Further developments can occur if the adult calls for further comments or requests clarification. Weger 1975 looks at the discourse strategies used by one child learner, Homer, when conversing with an adult. Homer frequently imitates the adult previous utterance, either to provide a sense of participation in the conversation or to test or for sheer fun. Homer also incorporates chunks of speech from the previous discourse into his own utterances. It is possible to explain apparently unique utterances like "What this is, Homer? What is this is, car?" in terms of the juxtaposition of the question "What is this?" and the answer "This is," with various deletions. For example, the first utterance above has is this delete from the combined question-answer pattern. And the second example just this, commenting in general on this kind of language behavior. H et al. Conversation involving adult learners. Adult conversation are described by H, whereas child-adult sequences follow the here and now principle. They refer to objects that are physically present and to ongoing activity. Adult conversations are more likely to be rooted in displaced activity. As a result, the adult learner has difficulty in identifying the topic. He resorts to the use of requests for clarification, for example, who, or to echoing part of the native speaker's question in order to establish the file of reference. Repair strategies are also common on the native speaker's part. The negotiation of meaning, a major feature of conversation involving auto learners, is that the learner and native speaker together strive to overcome the communicative difficulties which are always likely to arise as a result of the learner's limited auto research. This has become known as the negotiation of meaning on the part of the native speaker. This involves the use of strategies and tactics. Strategies are conversational devices used to avoid trouble. Examples are relinquishing topic control, selecting silent topics, and checking comprehension. Tactics are devices for repairing trouble. Examples are topic switching and requests for clarification. And the last about input or interaction in classroom settings. Interest in the language of the classroom has grown steadily in the last 20 years. It has been motivated by the recognition that whether it is a subject lesson or a language lesson, successful outcomes may depend on the type of language used by the teacher and the type of interaction occurring in the classroom. It was hypothesized the classroom interaction was the major variable affecting SLA in informal settings. An offshoot of the comparative method studies then was to direct researchers' attention to the processes of classroom interaction by collecting language data from the classroom itself. Classroom process research, as case 1983, calls the study of communication in the classroom, has taken different forms. The earlier was interaction analysis, which consists of using sets of categories to code the kinds of language used which occur in classroom. An alternative approach focuses only on the language used by the teacher, when addressing out to learners. It's so to tabulate the adjustments which occur in teacher talk. Finally, the techniques of discourse analysis were applied to the classroom to help identify the different types of interaction which occur there. Okay, the next explanation will be explained by Ayumesti.